Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Adolescent Talks. Anthony. Today we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those who are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to well-being. However, in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about avoiding vices, breaking free from alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes to improve mental health. I want us to take into consideration that choosing clarity over control, right? So vices promise relief, but often take more than they give, right? So when it comes to research shows that substances like alcohol, nicotine, and drugs interfere with brain development, emotional regulation, and stress systems in teens, right? So avoiding and stopping use linked to more improved mood, focus, and even mental health outcomes. So I really want us to dive into a video where we're able to grow, navigate, and pick up some skills that can be able to improve our wellness, our well-being, and even our health, right? So first segment, let's dive into how vices impact mental health, right? So brain development matters, right? So teen brains are still developing, making it more vulnerable to substances. So when we're more prone to dive into substances, our body and our mind causes that disturbance because you're dysregulating things in regards to the brain development, right? So next, we're going to talk about the mood disruption, right? So alcohol and drugs can worsen that anxiety, depression, and irritability over time. So it may give us that promise of that relief, but as mentioned, it often gives us more than it gives. So it's causing disruption in different aspects of our life or even future. Next, we're talking about the sleep and focus problems. So substance use interferes with sleep quality and attention, which affects mental health and even that performance as you're trying to navigate your purpose, your life, academics, etc., etc. Everybody's body is different, so it may not apply. However, it definitely does cause attention deficits and it affects our mental health, according to the CDC. Next, we're going to be talking about short-term relief, long-term costs, right? So temporary numbness often leads to increased stress and emotional instability later, right? So like I said, we're going to take into consideration that temporary numbness is numbing the moment. However, it's causing long-term effects in regards to that cost. So I want us to take that into consideration. Next segment, let's dive into why avoiding vices improves our mental clarity, how it's going to be able to benefit us, right? So clear thinking, right? So avoiding substances improves memory, decision-making, and even that concentration, helping us to be able to know our purpose, helping us to navigate through, helping us to have the balance and the resilience and even, right, the memory and the mindset that we need to be able to have clear thinking, to rationalize. Right. Next, we're going to be talking about that better emotional regulations, right? So substance-free teens report fewer mood swings and better stress management, according to the CDC. You also have increased motivation, right? So clear thinking, we have the clarity, supports our goal setting and our confidence, right? So we have a sense of direction where we're able to really rationalize. So overall, just staying away from drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, etc., is going to be able to help us regulate ourselves, give us the ability to proactively navigate through our challenges and even our goals, and even dive into healthier coping skills, right? So without substances, teens are more likely to develop effective coping strategies, right? So you're more prone to use it because you have healthier skills rather than just doing something that's going to numb you, kind of giving you that pleasure and that sense of peace for that moment, right? Rather than doing something that's going to be able to help you navigate through the challenge. Next segment, we're going to be diving into understanding why teens turn to devices, right? So giving people some understanding, right? Not judging them, right? Just giving them some type of understanding. Let's be real. So diving onto our first key point, we're going to be talking about that stress, that pressure, right? So we got to think about the academic, right? Social, emotional stresses that increase that risk, right? So this is the reason why most people dive into it. We got to also take into consideration too, let's pause, right? So some of us come from loving homes, right? Some of us come from loving homes where they're giving us those affirmation, that love, right? The acceptance, we're having meals together, we're really having that unity, right? Some of us come from dysfunctional families, some of us come from poverty, right? Some of us come from, right, lack of parents, right? So some of us don't even have in group home situation, right? So it gets realer as we dive into the realness, right? However, there's different ways to go about this, right? And having a mentor, a role model, a community center, right? Leaders that are able to provide you the self-acceptance that you need, not just from yourself, but that support, right? So I want to mention that, right? We also want to take into consideration or understand why teens turn these vices are that, you know, peer influences, right? So the social environments that strongly affect our choices, right? So the social media, the things that we're seeing, school life, right? The identity crisis, you're trying to, you know what I mean, your culture, you have society, you have all these different things around you interfering with your mind, your conscience, right? So it's a lot of these things that interfere with us making those poor decisions. We also want to talk about those coping gaps, right? So teens may use substances because of lack of their coping skills and the coping tools. Some of us don't even have it, right? Or weren't even taught it, or it's not in the family dynamic and how what's going on in your dynamic, in your environment, right? So that's why it's important for education. It's important to learn. It's important to, you know what I mean, be a little optimistic and dive into something new that's a little more unusual from your usual history, right? But healthier coping skills is going to be able to help you navigate through with proactive tools to help you navigate through those challenges. Next is going to be not a character flaw. So substance use is often about unmet needs, not a weakness. So it's usually about the circumstance that you're in, you're having a rough time, you know how to navigate through it, right? So that's why we turn to things, or even that peer pressure, right? Other people are doing it, so we lack of sense of worth, lack of sense of self, right? Low self-esteem. You gotta, you know, you gotta put a name to it, right? I want to be transparent. I really want us to work on ourselves. Really want us to do the inner work, but I gotta put a name to these things so we're able to have understanding, so we're able to move towards healthier ways to navigate through our circumstance and our situation, right? Fourth segment, we're going to dive into healthier alternatives to vices, right? So movement and activity off rip. We got to think about them sports. We got to think about curriculum. We got to think about getting ourselves movement, right? Helps the body, right? So physical activity reduces the cravings and that stress, right? So get yourself active. Get a gym membership, walk around the block, right? Get your blood flow going, right? Next is going to be creative outlets, right? So we have music, we have art, we have writing that supports emotional expression, right? So just getting out these feelings proactively. Therapy, I'm gonna just drive right into that, right? Talking to a professional, right? It's one thing you're talking to your family, you're talking to friends, but talking to a professional, they have the skills, they have the curriculum, they understanding. They're also gonna see it from a different lens, and someone else is gonna have bias because they have a past, they had experiences with you, et cetera, et cetera. So talking to someone that it has understanding, that won't judge you, that is loving, that's going to come from a therapeutic standpoint to help you gain the emotional and the social skills that you need to be able to navigate through the stress, right? I want to put that out there. So we have social supports, just to bring that back into context, right? So strong connections reduce that substance use risk. So we're able to have a proactive community, a loving community, supportive community. It's going to be able to help us navigate through those substance use and that risk. Next is going to be mental skills, right? So mindfulness and breathing exercise is going to be able to help us, our emotional regulation, that control, right? So, you know, there's different sides of this, right? That's why I always advocate for that solitude, getting away from different people, having that mindfulness, thinking about where you're trying to go. If you're trying to get away from friends that are from a smoking, this is your journey. You got to get away. You have to make the conscious decision to move away, right? You're going to have people that's going to have pushback, pulling you, yo, what's going on? You changing up on us, da, 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 da. What you got to do is good for your life, your health, et cetera, and your mental health, right? So I want to take in consideration that there are skills, there's outlets, there's movement, there's activities, and there is support proactively, right? So seeking that professional as mentioned. Next segment, let's dive right into breaking free from staying strong, right? So small steps matter. We got to recognize that, right? Good things take what? Good things take time, right? So small steps matter. So even small steps and those changes improve our mental health, right? So the little things that we do are going to make the big difference later and have that impact as well, right? And we may not see a lot of the difference, a lot of the change initially as we're starting, but we gotta, with that consistency, with the discipline, with the effort, right? With that self-love and that compassion, things will be able to become a little more manageable and better over time. So I want us to be a little bit more courageous in regards to our positive mindset as we're moving towards change and possibility. Next, we're going to be talking about asking for support, right? So trusted adults, those counselors as mentioned, can improve our outcomes proactively, like I said, with that professional support. So making sure that you're advocating for yourself, you're asking for it, right? You're putting yourself in those rooms, you're making sure that you want to be able to improve your ways, improve getting healthier coping skills, and having someone else see and have some understanding from what you're going through, right? So find those trusted people and advocating for yourself because it's something that you want for yourself, right? Next is going to be relapse is not failure, right? So we got to take into consideration that change is difficult, right? So you may fall down, but you still have the ability to what? Get back up, right? So behavior changes is a process, not a straight line, right? So life, it fluctuates, it goes up, it goes down, but it's how we navigate, like I said, with that resilience, with the coping skills, right? As we're going through those situations. Next, we're going to be talking about skills can be learned, right? So coping right? So refusal skills, self-regulation can improve with practice over time, right? So the more that we're being intentional, the more that we're being purposeful, the more that we're being authentic, like we really want this, and this coming from us, things will get better with consistency and with that self-love. Right, so wrapping this video up, I really want to take into consideration that change is difficult, right? So I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not, right? But protecting your mental health isn't just about that reconstruction. It's about choosing what helps you thrive, choosing what's best for you, choosing the healthier lifestyle. Some people say too, moderation's key, right? So having that balance, which is good, right? But if you know what's best for you and it's not good for your body, right? Do what's best for you, right? And just moving towards that change. For those out there that's going through using drug usage or smoking or being around the wrong people, right? So just the gradual changes, little things that matter, right? So try your best to be consistent, try your best to find the supports, and try your best to do what's best for you, holding yourself accountable, right? Thank you for thriving. If you found this video was beneficial, give a thumbs up, share if possible. See you in the next one. Stay blessed.